Yeah.
Keep it, get to do it.
All right, it's now time to call this meeting to order. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to this City Commission meeting in the City of Texas City. We will begin this meeting with a roll call, starting with District 1.
DeAndre Knoxon, District 1.
Keith Love, District 2.
Thelma Bowie, Commissioner at Large.
Dedrick Johnson, Mayor.
Abel Garza, Commissioner at Large.
Chris Sharp, District 3.
Jamie Clark, District 4.
All right, thank you very much. Let the record reflect that we do have a full commission present. A quorum has been established. We will have the invocation. I think our invocation is supposed to be brought to us by Pastor David Buckley. Is Pastor here? Pastor Buckley of Sanford Temple. And in his absence, I will do the invocation, and then we will also have Mr. Commissioner Abel Garza lead us in the pledges. Let us bow. Father God, thank you for this day. Thank you for allowing us another opportunity to do the things that you have commissioned each of us to do while here on this earth. God, we ask that you to guide our thoughts, guide our hearts, guide our minds so that we may do the business of this city and do so in a manner that is acceptable and pleasing unto you. We ask for special blessings upon all those who have assembled. In your Son Jesus' name we ask it all. Amen.
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 Please join me in the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Texas Pledge. I honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner.
Yes, sir.
All right, this time we are up to the proclamations and presentations. And today we have a special presentation, and we will hear from our City Secretary, Ms. Ramari Lee, as we recognize the City Secretary's office for receiving the Municipal Clerk's Office Achievement of Excellence Award, assisted by Ms. Renee Edgar.
Good evening. My name is Ramari Lee. I'm the City Secretary, and this is Renee Edgar. She is your records manager. So, when I received an email in April that we had been awarded this prestigious honor, I cried. And then I got back to work because it was the Friday before early voting. This beautiful frame arrived in early June, and I would be less than transparent if I said that my eyes hadn't missed it once again. The evaluation standards used to grade whether we could achieve an office of excellence included how well our elections run, what our records management policies look like, have we established departmental trainings for employees on one or more core areas of responsibilities of the City Secretary's office, governmental transparency, and more. We submitted evidence that our City Secretary's office met 11 of those 12 evaluation standards. The requirement was to, at minimum, meet 9. I want to thank all of my colleagues in this room sincerely. The City Secretary's office does not function well without the consistent support and cooperation of every department represented in this room. From agenda quick training to public information request, we always work together, and it makes me proud to share this award with you. This is a testament to the excellence in each and every office of the city that I have the privilege to collaborate with every day, and I'm so grateful. Thank you.
If we could have a congratulations, both of you. What we want to do is take a group photo. Commissioner, if y'all don't mind, we'll come in towards the middle with our City Secretary's office. Front here. definitely proud of our city secretary's office for that municipal clerk's office achievement of excellence award. Many municipalities have attempted to receive that award, and several have over the years. We are blessed to have the staff that we have here as it relates to everything from elections to public information to just the day-to-day agendas of the multiple meetings and boards and corporations throughout the city. So thank you, Romari, and thank you again, Renee. We're up to reports. Today we're going to hear a report from our Texas City Museum, and we will have our very own Miss Amanda Vance to come and give that report from our Recreation and Tourism Department.
Hello, thank you. Excellent. So yes, my name is Amanda, and I will be reporting on the Texas City Museum. Some of this will be review for, how does this? Okay, sorry, technical difficulties. So some of this information will be a review for some of y'all because it is just sort of the basics of what you need to know. So just a refresher, and for those who don't know it, something new. So this is just a list of the various things that we do at the museum. So first and foremost, we are a collecting institution. So we do maintain a collections. The way that we receive our collections is primarily through donations. We do also get transfers from other organizations, so libraries, museums, archives, things like that. In general, we do not accept loans, but we have two exceptions to that rule. The first is the artifacts from the USS Westfield. Those are an extended loan to us from the US Navy. And then every year we do a quilt exhibition. And so for that one, those are technically a short-term loan. It is just for the exhibit, and that is from the general public. They loan us their quilts just to put that exhibition on. So, of course, as a collecting institution, we do our own exhibitions. We have one temporary exhibit space that we try to change out every month or so. And so that is where we have rotating exhibits where we try to get our collection that's in storage out on display. And then, of course, we maintain a permanent exhibit also. And then we do loan our artifacts out to other museums. So the picture that you see that's kind of green looking, that is an exhibit that was made from our artifacts at the Bullock Museum in Austin. We did a one-year loan for those artifacts so that they could do that exhibit there. And we are actually in the works starting to work out another temporary loan to them for about a year with our Charles Brown exhibits so that they can do another exhibit with our Charles Brown collection so that they can do another exhibit with our artifacts. We put on our own events and we participate in other people's events too. So the quilt show, in a sense, is an exhibit and sort of an event because we do an or visitor's choice award for the quilts. So anyone who comes to the quilt show can vote for their favorite quilt. And whoever receives the most votes wins a prize at the end. And then, of course, our train show, our model train show, is our biggest event of the year. And that is put on for us by our home model railroad club, the Galveston County Model Railroad Club, who's housed on our second floor. We do participate in other people's events too. The picture that you see in the lower corner is when we had a display at the Educators Open House at Moody Gardens. I also give guest lectures. I gave one at the Friendswood Library last month, and I'll be doing another one. We do research for authors and the general public. The general public is able to research our collections as long as they give us notice of the topic that they're researching, and then the museum staff also does research for the public. And so sometimes it's family research. Sometimes we had a lady call up wanting to know the name of a bait shop that used to be out on the dike, so we looked that up for her. And then we do tours. So there's the general admission to the museum, and people can book tours with us as well. So on the one side, you see what our prices are. So that is just for like a general admission day. We do a few free admission days throughout the year as well. We have one coming up this month. And then for people who come regularly, we do have the membership option. So we actually just sold one today. Currently, we have 5 members of various levels, and 4 of them were renewals. So we were really excited by that they used it and saw the value and keep coming back. So that was excellent. So then for the tours, a group tour is $5 per person, which is our senior rate, and that's for the most basic tour. which just gets them the museum and the Model Railroad Club. The Model Railroad Club is open regularly to the public on Saturdays, but Saturday is the only day that they are open regularly. So if you have a group and you book your group tour, the Model Railroad Club will open for that group during the week. In addition to the museum basic tour, a tour of any of the historic homes that we manage can be added for an additional $1 per person per home. So what are the historic homes? Oops, I broke it.
It's okay.
Sorry, thank you. So over in Heritage Square Park, which is maybe like a 3-minute drive from the museum, there are 3 different homes that people can tour with the tour package. This is the Davidson home, the Engineer's Cottage, and the Moore home. All of those homes were built right around 1900. The Davidson home is the oldest house from 1897 and is the only house original to that property. The other ones the city picked up and moved over there. The Davidson home is also the one that the only one there that has a regular open house. It is open to the public the first Sunday of most months, and is $1 for adults and 50 cents for kids. The reason I say most months is because if the Sunday precedes a Monday holiday, it is not open. And then in December, it is actually open the second Sunday because there's a Heritage Association with that house, and they put on a large event called Celebrate the Season. And so we partner with them for that, where the local schools are invited to come have their choirs sing, and there's a Santa and train rides and things. So that's the second Sunday in December every year. Then over in the 1867 settlement, we have the Bell House, which was built in 1887. And so the Bell House can be viewed through the tours, and then we also do a free periodic open house at the Bell House. And so that's a Saturday afternoon in February, June, and October. The one in October, we partner with the 1867 Settlement Group for their settlement celebration event. So that's a free event that they put on every year. That's the second Saturday in October, and we have the Bell House open and free to the public for that day. For people who don't want to do the tour or who don't come to one of the open houses, there is actually a lot of outdoor interpretation over at the Bell House and across the street in the private property. That's Frank Jr.'s home, but you can see that we have the sculptures out there, and there is also an interpretive panel out there that explains the history of the Black Cowboys and the Chisholm Trail, because the Black Cowboys were the founders of this settlement. So lots to see out there, even if you don't take one of the tours. So moving on, just to talk a little bit more about what we do in the museum field. This is a list of pretty much all of the various groups that we have some level of involvement in. For many of them, it's just a basic membership, but for a lot of them, we become much more involved. So for example, I was the vice president of the Texas Collections Emergency Resource Alliance for a little while. I was one of the founding members of a task force for the American Association of State and Local History, and the Texas Association of Museums just invited me to serve on their program committee. So various level of involvement, and the reason that these groups are important, well, there's several reasons. They provide professional development for me. They provide us a good frame of reference of like what we should and shouldn't be doing at the museum on local, regional, and national levels. And many of these provide a really excellent network that's important for us to have. I'll point out Texera specifically, especially because it is hurricane season. So that group is dedicated to responding to disasters for GLAM organizations. So that's galleries, libraries, archives, and museums. And so this is a group that if we get hit by a hurricane and our collection is messed up, I can call them, and trained conservation professionals will come help us save our collection. It does also mean that if someone else gets messed up, they can call me, and I do have to go help or provide counseling over the phone. But just really important to have that connection and those networks. So, and actually it was through the American Association of State and Local History that I made the connection with the Bullock Museum, where we now have we're working on this next loan where our artifacts will be on display in the History Museum in Austin. Moving on. So this is basically just how the museum has been doing. We have two different groupings here to show the attendance. We count everyone who walks through the door, so that's the total attendance number. And so that's regardless of whether they're truly there to see the museum or not. They get counted. So the paid visitors more accurately represents who's there using the museum in the way that we think it should be used. So that's the difference that you see there. And these did not include June, because I had to turn this in before I had those numbers. So we're running fairly in track with how last budget year looked so far. I'm sort of hoping that with our upcoming free days and things, we'll get more of a boost, because it is always my goal to do a little bit better than we did the year before. But we'll just have to see how that pans out. So this is the historic home attendance. I have it for the two homes that we have open regularly, so it's the Davidson home and the Bell House. And it only goes as far back as I had numbers for both. Davidson home, because we took over from the Heritage Association with the regular Sunday Opens House, goes back a lot further. But the Bell House, we only sort of more recently started doing that open house. And again, these numbers do not include June. So the Bell House in October will have a very large bump when we do the, when we're with the 1867 settlement celebration. And the Davidson home will get more for the Celebrate the Season event. So for things that are going on new at the museum, last year we tried renting one exhibit from Humanities Texas. Some of you may remember from last summer. And it went really well. It was a really nice exhibit. It was really well received. Humanities Texas is really easy to work with. So this budget year, we rented 3 traveling exhibits from them. So the March to Freedom was the first one that we had. It was a civil rights focused exhibit that we showed in February for Black History Month. The Vaquero one was cowboy themed, which we paired with our 1867 settlement panels, and that was in June. And then they're supposed to deliver it to me on Friday. Citizens at Last is coming, and that will open on Tuesday. And it is all about the women's suffragette movement in Texas. For that one, we have partnered with our friends at the library, and they have loaned us some of Mrs. Moore's stuff from the archive that we will put on display. And we are also using this exhibit as a trial run for a project that we are collaborators with them on. They applied for a grant to do more of the newspapers. And so to try to get people to access the newspapers more, we will be putting QR codes in this exhibit that when they scan them, it will lead them to the historical newspaper talking about Mrs. Moore and the work she was doing at the time. Thank you so much. Do you have any questions?
Commissioners, any questions of Ms. Amanda Vance in the museum?
Yeah, what exhibit do you have at the Bullock in Austin? What did we send up there?
So the one that we had before was about the disaster, and we sent 2 different groupings of artifacts for that, and it was a 2-year run for that exhibit, but that happened a few years ago. And so now the one that we're working on right now, they requested artifacts that had to do with Charles Brown.
Right.
And so I tried to get them to focus on ones that we had in storage instead of the ones that we have on display, because they really like that gold jacket. But so they requested 5 artifacts from us that they want to pick up later in the year, and they will show all of next year.
That's great. Okay.
Good job.
A lot of activity, Ms. Vance. Thank you.
Thank you for the information. Good job. All right. Next, we will hear from our communications coordinator, Ms. Jennifer Laird, as she gives us a marketing update with the City of Texas City.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. I'm Jennifer Laird. I'm the city's communications coordinator. And as you can see from all those icons that are up on the screen right now, social media is a big part of what we do. But we're not just posting. So if you follow our page, and if you don't, take a minute. You have my official blessing to stop listening right now, pull up our pages, and click like or subscribe. But if you are with us, you know that we're doing more than posting. We're changing history. So like when we took our beloved Davidson home and transformed it into Barbie's dream house through the magic of Photoshop. It looks like fun, and I'll be honest, it was fun, but there's always a method to the madness. So that particular post reached more than 21,000 people, and we picked up a lot of new subscribers. I want to say somewhere in the 800 range. It also generated a lot of media interest, including a reporter from KHOU 11, and it created interest and excitement in our community about this historic Texas City landmark. And then we also decided we were going to build a landmark. So on April Fool's Day, we launched the Baby Dike. If you're not familiar, the story was that there were some websites that had the audacity to call our beloved Texas City Dike nearly 5 miles long when we know that it's 5.3 miles. So we added a small addition that we named the Baby Dike. And Jack, if you're looking for team members, I gotta say, I think we got a future here.
Wow.
Our Baby Dike reached well over 500,000 people, and it was shared more than 700 times. So it helped create awareness in our community about all the amenities at the dike. It got spread through local fishing groups, and we even picked up a lot of really great media feature stories, including the one that you see in the Houston Chronicle that cites the brilliant April Fool's joke. And no, I did not pay them to say that. And sometimes we're just frankly amazing. Like when the Wienermobile came to visit, and we got to break out all the hot dog puns. And you're about to see them again on the next slide, so apologies in advance. This helped create awareness for anyone who would relish seeing this vehicle and coming to our St. Patrick's Day parade. And hot dog, there were more than 80,000 people who interacted and viewed that post. So we picked up close to 1,000 subscribers off of that post alone, which ultimately helps more people catch up on what's happening in our city. So in the past year alone, we've had 2.1 million unique individuals on our Facebook page alone. And they're not just looking at our content, they're engaging with it and interacting with it. We've had more than 158,000 interactions in the past year. And if you took, I love this statistic, so y'all gotta just nerd out with me for a minute. If you took all of the time that people spent watching our videos on social media and added it all together, you'd have over 201,000 minutes of time that people spent. So to put that in perspective, that's 140 days worth of time that people have spent viewing our videos. So our 2-person team has generated more social media content than any other municipal social media page in Galveston County, and most of them in Harris County as well. Our pages are growing at an unprecedented rate. They're the fastest growing pages in Galveston County, growing at a rate that's about twice as fast as other cities, and in most cases, about 5 to 6 times as fast. So how does this help us? It means that when one of your favorite department heads comes to you and says, hey, I know we broke that attendance record last year at our safety event, but is there any way we can do that again? You get to tell them, probably. So last year we had 297 people at the Hurricane Town Hall, which was a record. This year we broke it. We had 580 people show up after we did a communications push. We also worked a lot with the Texas City Museum. We helped them set a new one-day attendance record. We also helped them achieve the largest open house ever at the Davidson home and a 283% increase in attendance at the Bell House. So people are taking notice of Texas City, not just in our county, our area, but throughout the state, across the country, and even around the world. In the past year, we were featured in the Wall Street Journal. We've been regularly profiled on Texas Chronicles History, Mystery, and Adventure, which has about 250,000 followers. And we were even interviewed on German public radio and broadcast throughout Germany. And of course, people are taking notice of Texas City Tales podcast too. So we now have 4 seasons and more than 60 episodes under our belt, and people in 8 countries have viewed our podcast. And again, people are taking notice. We've been featured in the Galveston County Daily News a couple of times. We were invited to present at the Houston-Galveston Regional PIO Network meeting, which had cities, counties and agencies from throughout Harris County and Galveston County. And we've been contacted by other cities, most recently the Woodlands, asking for advice and guidance on how to establish their own city podcast. And if you want to check out episodes of our podcast,
You can catch new episodes every Wednesday on the city's Facebook page, YouTube, or wherever podcasts are streamed.
you're the best. So our department also serves as PIO for emergency management. In the past year, we've helped with more than a dozen incidents, including severe weather, an oil spill, industrial incidents, and like everybody in this room, we're hoping not to add hurricane to that list this week. Also, most importantly, we have increased the number of subscribers on our emergency notification system. So in this past year, we've added thousands of new people to that system, which could save lives. We also implemented our branding guidelines, which helps give a cohesive and unified look and feel to all of the city's communications across all departments. We also created a communication request form, and in the first month alone, we had more than 60 requests come in. So thank you to everybody who has worked with us and felt some of those growing pains with us, but it's working really well and we appreciate it. Also new this year was one of my favorite days, 409 Day. So Mayor Johnson proclaimed April 9th as 409 Day, and we saw the entire community come together to celebrate. We had city departments, schools, businesses, organizations, churches, neighborhoods offering specials, hosting events, and just really showcasing their Texas City pride and community spirit. So it quickly became one of my favorite holidays. Can't wait to do it again and hope to see you all there. Tell we're serious now with the music. I also hope to see you at Touch a Truck. It's October 19th. Last year, we broke a record with more than 100 vehicles, and Derek keeps saying his motto for this year is double it. So we're putting the challenge out there. Any vehicles you have or have contact with, we would love to have you be part of Touch a Truck. Before I officially wrap up, though, I did want to say thank you to all of the city departments and employees and leaders that we have the privilege of working with. You're the reason that we have so much to talk about and the reason that people are so happy to hear it. So thank you, and on a very personal note, thank you for making my job much easier.
All right, thank you. Questions, any commissioners? Any questions, anyone?
I don't have a question, but I have a comment, and I'm pretty sure it represents the entire commission. You and Derek, you guys are informative. Your marketing plans are hilarious. They're thought-provoking. You check every box. You two guys are absolutely great.
Absolutely.
Thank you so
Amen.
much.
Yeah.
They're wieners.
Well, the fact that we have a two-person communications team is probably the best kept secret up until this point, but they do a remarkable job for a department that small to cater to the needs of all of the departments throughout the entire city and the social media and the other marketing aspects. So thank you very much, Derek and Jennifer. And I don't know how long it took y'all to practice this podcast thing, but that was pretty good as well.
Y'all are good.
We're now up to the public comments section of this meeting. We have an opportunity for citizens to request to speak to the commission, and I do have before me 3 particular requests. As I call your name, you can come up to the podium, and you have up till 3 minutes to speak on your topic. We ask that you not go beyond that particular point. First, we have Ms. Sharon Hunter. Is Ms. Sharon Hunter here? Ms. Hunter, if you could state your name and your address for the record, if you like, and then whatever your concern is.
Good afternoon. My name is Sharon Hunter. I live at 314 South Texas Street in West Texas City. And I come before this committee because I have been having an issue with my street and the drainage. And this began with the city sewer project in December when they dug on our street. they created a drainage issue. And we have problems with the ditches draining. I have not had the front of my house, the ditch, and several of my neighbors' ditches to be dry or less than half filled with water since then. And I've contacted Public Works and everybody else that I can think of. They've come and vacuumed the cul-de-sacs a couple of times. But I'm told that the problem is bigger and that it requires the bridge something department to come and redig the ditches. I'm having a problem with mosquitoes as well as my neighbors. The water is putrid, it's green, it smells. You go to mailbox, you almost have to put a clothespin over your nose. And this has been an ongoing issue that I just cannot get resolved. So I'd like to know what the city can do for us.
Typically, when we ask you to come and do your 3 minutes, it's not an agenda item, so we don't
Certainly.
respond to it at this point in time, but we have taken the notes for what your issue is, and we have department heads from that department who are listening right now, and we'll see to it that it's addressed.
Okay. I can say that I have had a Mr. Wayne Solomon come and speak with me and a few of my neighbors on occasions. And his department has been great trying to help resolve that, but it's beyond their capabilities. So we're in hurricane season, and twice already when we've had extensive rain, the water is coming up in my yard. So if we have a hurricane or an event, my house may flood, as well as some of my neighbors. And so this is a problem. And I don't know if, like I said, it requires the company that the city contracted to correct this, or the city, but somebody needs to address it. And I appreciate your time.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
So we have your name and your contact information on your sheet, and somebody will get back with you with what the plan may be, okay? Yes, ma'am. Next, to address the commission, we have Mr. Lawrence and Ms. Lois, is it Deist? Oh, wow, I'm sorry. Weiser, pardon me, sir. Mr. Lawrence and Ms. Lois Weiser.
Okay, my name is Lawrence Weiser. I live at 2446 13th Street North. And my issue here, which every time at this time of year and around the first of the year is considered, is fireworks. And I've been living here for over 35 years. And every time around this year, I dread I'm not a killjoy. I like to have as fun as much as anyone. But the fireworks are just, I don't like living in a war zone. And fireworks that are loud, go on till 10, 11, 12, 1 o'clock at night. There's laws against it. And I don't know if the police just turn their ear because it's such a problem, or they just, it's just too much for them to overcome with the number of fireworks, because there are a lot of fireworks out there. But yeah, they're not considered of me. I mean, why should I be considerate of them having fun? The city puts on a very good fireworks display every year on the 4th of July. And I don't think they should have to make my pets suffer every year, make me suffer every year, the people that have PTSD suffer every year, and just make it a non-pleasant situation as it gets later in the evening. I don't know what to, there's really nothing I've contacted I'm never trying to contact, I don't go into social media and look and see what's being done, but over the years it seems like nothing's been being done. It's gotten even worse. So I just have a concern that I've always thought I should come up here and talk, but I always thought that, I missed the deadline, or there's not a meeting right before, and I thought, well, I guess I just got to live through it again. So it's just my feelings on the situation, and if there's a law in the books, I think it should be, at least attempted to be enforced. If you're gonna have a law that's broken, it's not worth having a law, period. And that's all I have to say about it.
Thank you for your comments, sir. While we won't go into great detail here now, we'll say that you will see a difference in the enforcement of that law this year, as we have rolled out a campaign trying to let the citizens know that we will have a zero tolerance on fireworks, illegal fireworks in the city of Texas City. So thank you for your comments, and it's good to know that some citizens are supportive of the efforts that we'll be rolling out this year. Next, we have to speak to the commission. Second, I lost my page here. Ms. Lucille McGaskey. And state your name and address as well.
My name is Lucille McGaskey. I live at 1214 North Noble Road, West Texas City, 77591. And my concern is the proposed new subdivision at the corner, in the area of Monticello and Memorial. And my concern is that the dollar amount of the houses, the valuation, will cause the people in that neighborhood difficulty, because most of them live on fixed incomes, low to moderate income, and a lot of them are senior citizens. And I know that would probably be a big impact on them financially if that takes place. So I want the commission to look at that very carefully to make sure and consider those individuals. And the reason I'm saying that is because when a group I work with, when they came to do the quote-unquote Ike houses, and a lot of the individuals that apply for those grants to have those houses redone, one of the things that we had to work into consideration is that the houses were valued lower, the original houses, and then once they got on the program to have the houses tore down and rebuilt, their taxes went up very high. And so we had to work with the legislature, the Galveston County, to try to come up with a gradual increase so the people will be able to afford to live there after they had the old houses torn down. Thank you, I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ms. McGaskey.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. All right. And at this time, we are up to our consent agenda. Commissioners, you have before you on the consent agenda items A through H for your consideration. If there's any of these that you would like pulled for further discussion, deliberation, you may do so at this time. If there are none, what's your pleasure?
Motion to approve. Second.
A motion has been made by Commissioner at Large, Ms. Thelma Bowie, to approve items A through H, seconded by Commissioner District 4, Ms. Jamie Clark. All in favor of approving that motion, state by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. This time we're up to our regular items. 8A, we will consider and take action on ordinance number 2024-17, authorizing a variance from the 60-foot standard width to 50-foot width for the public street right-of-way between Woodrow Drive and southern boundary of the Memorial Village subdivision through Lot 25 in the Mary A. Patrick subdivision, commonly known as 6324 Woodrow Street, with all other street standards are to remain unchanged. We'll hear from Ms. Golden.
Thank you, Mayor, Commissioners. Ramari, can you help me put the map up that shows the layout of the subdivision?
Can you blow it up?
Is there another one? Did I have another one attached on this?
There it is.
There we go. Okay. So this is, and it's going to be later in your agenda to actually consider the master plan, but this is a master plan that's coming to you on 32 acres south of Memorial Village, developing 99 lots. But as it's laid out, it would have only one way of getting in and out of the subdivision unless they're able to get this variance where the developer has purchased a vacant lot that would connect that property to Woodrow and proposes to build a connecting street through there. As noted, our city standard requires a 60-foot right-of-way for our city streets. The width of this lot is only 50 feet, and so that's why the variance is required to our city standard to allow the construction of this street. The only section that would be 50 feet wide is the 120-foot depth of the lot. The rest of the street would be the standard width. And we are recommending that if you approve this variance, it be conditioned upon them putting up some kind of barrier along the right-of-way to provide some separation from those adjacent houses.
So we have not we have not yet determined what that, you're talking about a barrier to protect the street from lot 43 and lot 44?
Yes, to provide some separation, yes.
We haven't determined whether that's going to be landscaping or a fence yet, or?
That would be something that you could defer to us in the planning board to work out.
Okay.
I would probably start with the idea of either a fence or a wall. But again, I think the intent is to try and make this as affordable as possible, and so we would work with the developer. But ultimately, if it's the direction y'all choose to go, it would be something we might run by the planning board as well, just to be sure we're consistent throughout the city.
And my last question is, I just want to make sure I heard you right. This is a variance request to go from our standard 60-foot street to a 50-foot.
That's correct.
But
just this
but
one
that
place.
portion that's outlined in red is the only
That's correct.
portion. Okay, the portion in green will be the regular width.
Yeah, and all the other streets in the subdivision would be the standard 60 feet.
Would there be any type of barrier, Kim, on this new section? No,
24,
probably
25,
not.
24, and 26 lot.
Between what's called number 44 and 43.
That's what I said it wrong. The barrier is between 24 and 26.
Yeah, it's between 24 and
Okay,
26,
yeah.
which are existing houses on 50-foot lots. And no, it wasn't my recommendation, but I mean, y'all can condition your approval on whatever you want to, but I was recommending it as kind of a trade-off for the narrower right-of-way that you put up to the separation.
Commissioners, any other questions?
I don't have a question, I have a comment, though. It's a beautiful master plan, and I know that there have been several developers who have tried to do something with this piece of land, and they've been unsuccessful. Not quite sure why, but in retrospect, this area is a part of the historical 1867 area. So when looking at the cost of these homes that are going to be built, $200,000 to $300,000 per house, that is going to have an impact on the citizens who reside in the settlement. Now, having grown in that area is where the free slaves first settled here. Used to be Lamarck and then Texas City annexed us, but I'm not in agreement. But that's neither here nor there. That's just my personal opinion.
So just want to be clear, we're going to probably look at that in a further agenda
Yes.
item, but this one is the
It's the
variance request
Right.
for the street width. And I think that, I just want to address Commissioner Bowie. I think she started by saying that this has been unsuccessful in the past with some developments. To my recollection, there were some commercial developments in nearby areas that were requesting zoning or rezoning requests, and some of those lands were residential, asked to be rezoned to commercial, and that failed. This particular lot of land is zoned for residential, and but that may not be the exact location you were speaking of. I think I'm just talking about the vicinity.
Yeah.
But yes, sir, we have had several developers look at developing this particular plot.
Okay.
And the issue has been the lack of a second access point. And so this developer has been able to address that with this connecting lot. if you all approve the variance, then it will provide a second means of ingress and egress to the parcel.
Can you show us a holistic map to where we can see what the other ingress and egress access point is?
Mari, can you help me?
Is there? Oh, no.
I think if you go back to that very, very first one, it wasn't as clear, but we'd still be able to see it. You could blow that up.
And I think maybe attached to one of the later ones, there's the master plan itself.
So,
See, is there another attachment that's called master plan? Right there.
There we go.
So there would be an entrance from Memorial Drive itself that would come beside that detention pond and then come into the neighborhood. And then this would be the second access to the south onto Woodrow.
Right.
And we've looked at other options like off of Opal or Sapphire and Diamond.
So, as the mayor mentioned, there had been some previous opposition to development behind Opal in particular, although that was commercial development. When we're looking at new infill development like this, we usually try to find ways not to disturb the existing neighborhoods, and so we've tended to see if there were other options besides connecting to those streets that go through existing neighborhoods. And in particular, there's some concern about creating a cut through so that, in other words, people would be coming from Highway 3 over like to the school or something through this new neighborhood. So in other words, it wouldn't be access for the neighborhood, but it would be other people cutting through. So that's what's been considered of the connecting to the existing Opal and Sapphire and Diamond.
Ms. Golden, is there any representatives from the developer here?
The developer's here.
Okay. Can either you or the developer speak to the average cost of the homes in this particular area?
I would prefer that he do that.
Okay. Would you like to make your way to the podium, and you might be able to answer a question or two for us? Can you tell us a little bit about the homes, the product you'll be bringing, and maybe cost and things like that?
Sure. My name is Nick Luton with Luton Development Company. Work all across the greater Houston area metro. I've had conversations with a number of home builders. I mean, the targeted home buyer here is first or second time home buyer, so the goal is to get costs down as low as possible. The intention is to have your typical slab on grade homes that meet the new development and design criteria. And so we'll meet the minimum mason requirements. It's a challenging site to develop. We have been able to acquire the lot to the south along Woodrow, and that does provide that second point of access. I know different municipalities have different requirements on the number of lots that can be developed with a single point of access, and so just been working with staff to identify what's going to be the most convenient and least intrusive location to make that tie-in. And as she mentioned, there was big concern with tying into Sapphire or Diamond, just due to the nature of the cut through that might create between Highway 3 and then the retail and the schools. And then Opal is not an option because this property is not contiguous with the Opal right away.
Mm-hmm.
And so,
So you have an average cost of these?
Oh, I'm sorry. We think that the homes will be in the high 200s, 300,000s. It's just between, current times without incentives between land costs and development costs. There's no reimbursement mechanism here. So all that has to get rolled into the price of a home. Sticks and bricks to build a house as well. So
these, I'm sorry.
I'm just saying, you're looking at what, 99 lots, 100? What is that?
Yes.
99 lots?
Yes, that's what's on the current plan.
Okay.
How much is the average price of all the value of the other homes around it? I know you said that these homes will be between 250 and 300, but what about the value of the homes around it?
Well,
This area.
So we think we'll be in the high 200s, be in the 300,000s. I'm not sure where that ceiling would be. As far as the current homes, I can't speak to where Galveston County has appraised those homes. I personally don't think that there's going to be that big of an impact to those homes because those residents still will work with the county to determine their property values. And I know there is some disagreement in this, but you know, we actually just worked with Galveston County on an appraisal, and they actually went with our recommendation. So I don't think that I think that these homes that will be built will be will be appraised for what a current new home would be appraised at, and I don't think there's going to be any type of meaningful impact to existing homes or homeowners in the area, because the county still provides what they determine is the market value of a house. And I don't think that this development would then have a huge meaningful impact to the homes around it that would then create an issue with homeowners as far as their taxes.
This one won't, but if we keep doing this, it will, and it'll tax people out of their homes. That's just my 2 cents on it. So.
Are you aware that on the adjacent side of the proposed development, you have a Section 8 housing apartments, and then you have another Section 8 low-cost housing on Monticello. You also have Sims Elementary right there on the corner. So have you taken into consideration how easy is it to fill these rooftops, given the surroundings?
Well, I think the biggest draw is the new elementary school across the street. That's, most home builders and consumers are trying to be close to places like schools. The home builders that we've talked to, the surrounding areas have not deterred their interest. I think there are other new home options here, primarily north of the freeway, and the proximity to the school and the new middle school, along with the retail to the north, is appealing.
Well, I beg to differ with you. Just with a couple of new homes that have been built in the settlement area that impacted 14 Algeria, which is where I grew up. And the house is appraised at a value that there's no way we can sell it for that, but we have to pay the taxes for that. So I just want, if somebody does come in and build these homes, I would hate for a project to start and then fail because people realize that the environment may not be the surrounding environment they envisioned for their new home to be in.
Mayor, I believe we have about 17 developments in progress or getting ready to start, if I'm not mistaken. And I don't know if those 17 come into play with the same concerns that are being expressed. But that development is what Texas City is looking for. And I don't know if we're going to get to the prices of homes in item number C of the regular items, but right now we're just looking at the width of the street.
Yeah,
that's correct. And we probably could have put this on here in a different order because if one doesn't go, then the other two probably don't. But let's go ahead and stick to that for the sake of just the agenda. We are considering a variance request for the street width, and we can vote on that. And if we have any greater issues of concern on whether or not this project should even take off, we can address that in item C.
Correct.
And so again, we have before you the consideration of this ordinance granting a variance on street width from 60 to 50 feet. Commissioners, what's your pleasure?
Motion to approve.
I second it.
A motion has been made to approve by Commissioner Garza, seconded by Commissioner Clark, to accept the variance request from 60 to 50 feet. All in favor, state by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All opposed?
Opposed.
Did I get just one? Or just one? Okay. All right, we got 6-1, motion carries for the street variance. Next item, Agenda 8B, as in boy, consider and take action on ordinance number 2024-18, authorizing a variance for the installation of an emergency access only crash gate across a street to be constructed to connect Woodrow Drive to the southern boundary of the Memorial Village subdivision. Ms. Golden?
Yes. Mari, could you put that one up that was showing the variance as well? That probably is a good place to. Oh, there we
This
go.
picture?
Yeah, that'll be fine. Go ahead and open it up. Okay, so you see where the variance that you just approved is between lots 24 and 26, and the crash gate would be proposed to be on the back of that lot line.
Could you let us and the public know what you mean by crash gate?
So it would be a gate that would be closed at all times unless it was opened by police or fire or public works for a response of some sort to emergency or something. So in other words, it would not be open to the public at all times. It would not be the kind of gate like if you lived there, you would have the opener for it. It's not that kind of gate. It's a gate that would be locked completely and only accessible by someone with a key, and the key would be limited to our public works and our first responders. The idea for this was that, again, limiting impact to the surrounding neighborhood and yet still having access in the event it was needed for emergency responders. We're presenting them as separate variances because if the first one is approved and this one is denied, the developer is still prepared to go forward with the project if you all ultimately approve it.
Commissioners, any questions on Ms. Golden?
What is the recommendation of your staff?
So the idea did come from staff, and the idea was, again, minimizing impact, just giving you the option. Again, it can be a functioning subdivision either way, and the developer has indicated he's willing to build it either way. It's not, you all will recall that we have another subdivision, Sunset Cove, where there is a crash gate. But in that instance, you already had two other full open means of access, and the third one was because of the configuration. It was kind of like insurance because the other two were kind of on the same side. This one, you would have only one open means of access. If this one closed, it would be strictly for emergencies. So there are some distinctions between what has been approved before and this situation.
And your staff recommends this crash gate?
Really, I think it could be a functioning subdivision either way.
Either or?
Yes.
So
If I'm not
with the crash gate, then the subdivision would only have one way in and one way out.
That's correct. That's correct.
If I'm not mistaken, is there a certain number of homes that you allow to say, okay, one entrance, okay, now we need two? Is there a number of?
So when we're looking at subdivisions and these kinds of things, when we get to 30 homes, we start looking for a second means of access into them. It just becomes a matter of how can you get to them in an emergency. But I think you also have to look at it in terms of convenience for the people who are there getting in and out, especially at peak times.
Yeah.
And so definitely when you're above 100, that's a consideration as well.
Is the traffic on Woodrow Street pretty active? Is there a lot? I mean, would it hinder,
I'm not aware that the traffic on Woodrow is particularly heavy. I think the traffic on Memorial and on Westward probably are pretty heavy. You all probably are more familiar with that kind of.
I would agree with you on that.
Yeah, I was gonna say, how would that affect the traffic on Memorial, and also with the schools being right there?
Right.
So leaving the subdivision, looks like traveling north on Memorial, I'm assuming there'll be a stop sign right there
Yes.
of some sort. So to me, if you got 99 homes all trying to get out of that one street, the stop sign, particularly at school pickup or drop off, you're gonna have cars stacked, and not to mention, there are some kids who will probably be walking home or to the apartment complex. Traffic jam right there. I think two things I'd like to say, just my personal opinion. I think for 100 homes or 99 homes, you need two roads of ingress and egress. And then from a city standpoint, I don't think we should start letting crash gates be the norm. If they are needed for special circumstances, that's one thing, but I don't want to set a precedence to where every subdivision who comes in and tries to develop says we want a crash gate. That's not conducive to ingress and egress, and it's really not even conducive to emergency personnel who needs to get in and then stop and have to access a gate when seconds matter. It's just my opinion. So, any other discussion, commissioners?
I mean, I don't want to approve it to be a crash gate, but
How does the resolution read?
You know, I agree that it needs to be another means of access to the subdivision.
So we've already approved in A, the variance for it to go from 60 to 50 feet, so the street will be there. And then B just says whether or not we're going to gate it or not.
And he says he doesn't want the crash gate.
So vote to deny the crash gate, deny this ordinance?
However you state your motion is what we'll go with.
Yeah, vote to deny the crash gate.
Second.
A motion has been made to deny the variance of authorizing a crash gate to this entrance by Commissioner Knoxon. It has been seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Bowie. All in favor state by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. So that ordinance or that authorizing the variance has been denied. We're now up to regular item 8C. Consider and take action on resolution number 2024-086, which approves the master plan and development agreement consistent with the herein before approval, denial of variances for the Memorial Village subdivision. Ms. Golden?
Yes, Ramari, would you put the master plan up? There you go. So this is the master plan. Under our subdivision ordinance, the master plan comes to the city commission for approval as a master plan. This is just strictly a subdivision. It is not a planned unit development. It is not a PUD, which what y'all are probably most used to seeing come before you. This is your straight up plain, just go by the rules subdivision. It's not going to have a municipal utility district attached to it, not any kind of special financing district attached to it. It's strictly a straight up subdivision. It is meeting the minimum lot requirements of 50 foot wide and 120 feet deep, so it's the 6,000 square feet minimum. It is already zoned for that, so this is not a rezoning at all. They have gone through the drainage analysis, and we have seen their drainage impact study, and they have worked with the drainage district to get that approved. That's usually a pretty important first step. So as I understand it, the detention pond in the middle there that the houses that the lots back up to will be what they call a wet detention. We'll probably talk with the developer about there being some kind of fountain in it. The other one up near the entrance may be what they call a sometimes dry, so it means it may actually drain out in full from time to time. But approximately 40% of the lots would be considered waterfront. And so we do bring this to you with a recommendation to approve the master plan. It has been to the planning board. The planning board voted to recommend it. It was a split decision. It was a 3-1 vote. And that's where we are.
Thank you. Commissioners, you have any questions, Ms. Golden?
Other than the one comment we heard earlier, has the surrounding neighborhood expressed any concern that?
No, sir, and because this is already correctly zoned, there was no requirement to give the neighborhood any kind of mailed notice or anything like that.
Thank you.
It is strictly coming to you all. You know, of course, we have to post the notice of the planning board, but in terms of actually mailing out notice to the neighborhood, that was not a requirement in this posture.
So the people in this neighborhood could be totally against this, is what it sounds like, because we didn't ask.
There's no requirement
to ask, but they could not want this. Is what I'm saying.
Can't disagree with you on that. I have no knowledge of that. Again, our ordinances in this posture, because it's already correctly zoned and the minimums of the zoning ordinance are being met, there's not a requirement to go through that process.
Maybe the Honorable District